Konnichiwa hoes, welcome back to the Keevee channel. Watashi no meiyu aru kadoku shashama. Several months ago, on a dark, stormy night, I found my slumber disturbed by the late Most Honourable Emperor Hirohito. In my dreams he explained to me, in great detail, how I was straying from the noble path of my ancestors. For, just as Izanagi and Izanami threw a spear into the ocean to create the Japanese islands, my great-grandfather flew his Mitsubishi A6M0 into an American fighter carrier to create 10 marine casualties, and a job left unfinished. Since that fateful night, I've gone on a grand quest to rediscover my Japanese heritage. I've burned my passport and sent passionate emails to my country's Japanese embassy, requesting citizenship by descent. I even attended an anime convention. Japanese media is weird, okay? I fucked with anime, I fuck with manga, The Vision, even before it was cool. Back in my day, I used to get bullied in school for reading Naruto. Now everyone's on some berserk shit. My coworker showed up wearing a Demon Slayer t-shirt the other day. Back in 2017, that would have been like wearing a Star of David in Hitler's Germany. Being an anime fan in the early 2000s felt like being a Jew in Hitler's Germany. Seriously though, it seems like every week the unwashed masses over on twitter.com point me to some bullshit that sends the anime community back around 5 years. How do I explain to the guy at the gym, who I convinced to read Vagabond, why putting anime into his browser returns this? Touhou. Up until very recently, I had no idea what a Touhou was. Thankfully, there are many people on the internet that do. Most of them sound exactly how you might imagine. Immunocompromised. Touhou, or the Touhou Project, is a series of bullet hell shooting games that were made for the PC-98 by this guy named Yoon. His first game, highly responsive to prayers, gained a cult following amongst those who were highly responsive to stimulus, because this shit is crazy. And Yoon must have been highly responsive to Adderall, since being a one-man band, he programmed the game, designed the characters, and orchestrated the soundtrack entirely on his own, all while pursuing a mathematics degree. Yoon seemed pretty keen to hand off creative liberty to his fans, and this has led to a mixed bag of results. It's Touhou's open source nature that has caused it to have so much of a profound impact on internet culture, especially on forums like 4chan. Yeah, as I said, I have no idea how I haven't heard about this before. One of the better games I've played in the Touhou series is Touhou Mystia's Izakaya. Touhou Mystia's Izakaya is an allegory for the American dream, set in the land of Gensokyo, a geographically diverse landscape full of many different races, who, at best, are all vaguely afraid of each other. The game's story begins, like any good piece of American propaganda, with the protagonist unexpectedly inheriting a shit ton of debt. Of course, this is totally fine. All she needs to do is use her innate entrepreneurial spirit to capitalism the problem away. In Touhou Mystia's Izakaya, the core gameplay loop revolves around the management of an izakaya, a Japanese pub where, after a 14-hour workday, all the salarymen can go to get drunk with their co-workers, harass women, and then pass out in front of the train station. In the morning, you wake up and forage around the bush, because all the vendors are greedy scammers from Dubai who have moved to Gensokyo to establish totally legitimate businesses such as Bossman Vape and Chicken Shop, American Sweet, and most notably American Sweets and Vapes. Truly the modern example of manifest destiny. If you want the good stuff, you're going to have to find it yourself, and that takes time. Time you don't have, because every action takes a chunk out of your time meter. Grab some sake wine from a tree, that's a half hour. Want to travel to the human village to steal crop, that's a half hour both ways for travel and a half hour per crop collected. The 8 hours before service need to be optimized for maximum efficiency. When you're not foraging for goods, you're socializing, something I play video games to escape, so I'm going to be docking points for that one. Just like real life, most people only talk to you because they want something from you. It's also the only game where you're able to bond with your loan shark. Continuously interacting with special residents and fulfilling their demands will build up your friendship level, and if you complete enough quests and unlock enough dialogue, you can invite residents to your izakaya. The more a special resident visits your izakaya, the more you get to learn about their specific taste in food. If you cook a dish that is bussin', no cap on God, you might get rewarded by unlocking a rare recipe or a sudden influx of patrons who have travelled 3 kilometers to the nearest village to try your food. On the other hand, if you cook a dish that your guest doesn't like, you might get a debuff for the rest of your run. A big part of the prep work is anticipating what's in demand. Your logbook will notify you each morning about regional trends, such as popular and unpopular food, and that will give you a pretty good indicator of what to put on your menu that night. You could play the game like that, or you could get everyone drunk by pairing your meals with a high alcohol content, then putting radishes on everything. Either way, you need to maximize your combo meter to ensure a steady flow of customers. When I first started with this game, I was fairly uninterested in the story. Fuck off with that weeb shit, respectfully. I have better things to do. As I got into it though, oh boy, I'm sorry Zone, I was unfamiliar with your game. Mystia's Izakaya alone boasts about 40 hours of content with an extra 50 hours across the various DLCs. DLC that is incredibly cheap on sale and I fully intend to buy. As far as the base game goes, the story is centered around Mystia, a street food vendor who tries to transform her food cart business into a legitimate restaurant franchise. In the different acts of the story, you have the ability to build relationships with specific yokai and learn new dishes. The further you progress, the more of the map you unlock, and you gain access to locations such as the human village and more. As you build rapport with your customers, you gain more of an insight into their lives and their individual struggles. Towards the end of the game, you end up having to choose how you want to develop your business, staying local or going worldwide. Mystia's Izakaya is a fun, heartfelt labour of love that gave an amazing first impression to a series I was otherwise unfamiliar with. I'm sure the community consists of only lovely people who would never misuse the character assets for their own twisted purposes. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was a fun one to make, and I put off doing the voice recording for way too long. If you did like the video, please consider subscribing and dropping a comment for that sweet algorithmic engagement.